Welcome to our little show, where the wild ideas flow. We plant the seeds in dusty ground, watch them rise without a sound. Marketing dreams, tech extremes, AI's the spark behind the beams. Tales from the dirt road, where the whispers turn bold. Stories twist and stories grow. Where will our story go?
Hey everybody, this is Tony Vann.
And I'm Liz Hersh.
And you have checked out for the first ever episode of Tales from the Dirt Road. We are going to break into this podcasting world with a little bit of excitement today. We're going to talk about something that's on everyone's mind, right, Liz? It's in the ethos for sure.
Very much so.
So that is AI, also known as artificial intelligence. So today we're going to kind of break it down a little bit for everyone, kind of throw some information out to the pros and talk about the pros and cons of all of it. So Liz, why don't you kick us off with a little bit of deets and then we'll run from there.
Yeah, that's right. I think let's start with some pros, because there are tons of benefits to using AI for marketing and communications. And let's start off with the most obvious, being these large language models like Claude, ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Perplexity. These tools are creating a lot of opportunities for content creation, brainstorming, doing deep research, and that right there is one of the ways that I'm sure Tony, you are as well. You're finding these tools to be a great benefit in terms of, oh my gosh, we have been writing and talking on social media about the same topics. Give me something new, give me something fresh, a fresh perspective. So these large language models have been a huge, huge help. I know we're brainstorming new topics, and we can quickly generate some outlines and then produce some really, really great content.
You're talking about these large language models and kind of moving through. So let's talk about the kind of the premise of the podcast itself as being, a showstopper, if you will, or a disruptor, a big disruptor, right? So like, what does that mean? Does that mean that we're all going to become, if you're a PR professional or a marketing pro, does that mean that you're going to go to the way of the dodo bird or the blacksmith? Or kind of how is this a new tool? Kind of measure that out for us a little bit, please.
Yeah, I still think that these tools require human oversight. Sure, maybe your content team was a content team of 5, and now it's 2 people. So it's creating some ways to streamline and create efficiencies, but I still think they require human oversight. Sure. I work with a lot of technical clients. Some of these things do need to be fact checked and edited, and that's really what I'm seeing a lot more, is that I'm putting on my editor hat a lot more than my writer hat lately.
So I'm glad you said that, because I feel like that is the value. I mean, the value is, and I think you and I've talked about this kind of offline, but the fear is you don't seem to have it. I have it a little bit, which is the white page fear, right? Like how do I start? And there's a benefit, I think, in the fact that you can throw something in a ChatGPT or whatever and just basically say, okay, here are some prevailing ideas, or here are some kickstart ideas. You may not use any of them, candidly, but that's a good tool to start. And then, as you mentioned, then you have to basically use your experience to come in and edit it, that type of thing.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit. Do you have any trends or topics about the industry and how AI has really impacted the marketing arena?
So for 15 years, we have seen consumers going to Google, maybe a Bing or a Yahoo, right? Like that's kind of their first point from a search perspective.
That's the gold standard of a search perspective. Yes.
Yeah. And that is starting to shift.
Oh.
So we're recording right now in July of 2025. Some of the data is, I don't want to say conflicting, but there's definitely growing evidence that more and more consumers are using these large language models, and there's going to be a trend where that's the first place they go. So right now, traditional search engines like Google are still king, but more and more people are going to an LLM instead of Google as the first search. So I think we're up to about, according to Search Engine Land, 24% of people say that they are defaulting to a large language model over a traditional search engine.
Wow.
So
Wow. So 1 in 4, basically, that's
yeah,
shifting. How interesting. How interesting. So
yeah.
what's the benefit of that? I mean, we're kind of slushing through it a little bit here, but these are the basically technically the pros of using ChatGPT or LLM. So talk to me a little bit about what that means. How does that translate?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's huge opportunity applying a lot of the traditional SEO tactics that we've been using, again, for a good 10, 15 years, to use those tactics to appear in a response to a question or a prompt in a large language model. That could be, where are the best vacation spots in Southwest Florida or Northern California, right? You have to, as brands and marketing managers, we need to have the message that we're putting out there, needs to still have the right terms, keywords, to hopefully appear in these large language model results. So a lot of the things that we've been doing, we need to continue to keep doing. I think time is going to tell, and things will unfold. How this is going to shift what we do. From a website management perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So I would argue, thank you for that perspective, because I think it's fantastic. I would argue, honestly, that it's going to force us and potentially the consumer or whomever to do it better. In other words, the SEO tricks, and I mean, I've been developing websites since the late 90s, which is, I know I'm ancient, but there were always the little tricks you'd put in to kind of grab Alta Vista or Dogpile back in the day. And of course, then you try to trick the analytics or whatever now on Google. But now it's truly trying to, scrape or, spider your website and match that content so much so that it can convey that message back, not in a single line or a small paragraph description that's grabbed from the meta tags or whatever from the website, but it's actually quote unquote speaking to you, and you have to filter or give that bot the ability to engage the consumer, like a better term.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see the continued importance of general online reputation. So your Google business profile and maintaining that and getting consistent reviews, consistent positive reviews over time. And then consider what specific industry you might be in. Is it trades? Does Angie's List, does a Yelp matter? Trustpilot is a very common place for e-commerce, to collect reviews for e-commerce. So maintaining that reputation, keeping it stellar, and updated on a consistent basis, I think is going to be really key.
Oh, it's going to be paramount. I mean, the more we talk about this, I'm not going to use the word freaking out, but I mean, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I mean, some of this stuff needs to be cleaned up, honestly. Yeah, so I'm going to pivot, but not pivot a little bit. The reality is, we've got all of these things here, and you mentioned like AI is still going to need human oversight or interaction. Now, Liz, tell us the truth. Tell all of our listeners, is that because they're secretly going to take over the world and we need to make sure we maintain control? Or why do you think we need human interaction at this point?
You got to remember, AI in its current state, it wants to please us as the humans.
Right.
And if it's lacking information, it's going to hallucinate and make things up. And if you've been following AI just generally, you have probably heard some instances where attorneys and paralegals used AI to create a legal brief, only to find out that AI hallucinated and just made up legal cases. The other one, Tony, I think you'll appreciate this. I just found this last month or a couple months ago. The Chicago Sun-Times and the Philadelphia Inquirer both ran. It was a syndicated article, but it was a summer reading list. So check out these books, for your summer reading. Well, the reporter used AI, and some of the book titles and summaries were completely fabricated. They didn't
What?
even exist. It's
Oh,
crazy.
wow. Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So to underline that a little bit, I mean, for kind of us, quote unquote us, air quote us, if you will, just knock the mic, air quote us, like the reality is we need to be on top of that so it doesn't make our clients look like idiots and candidly make us look like idiots, but also as either a business owner, organizational leader, or even a consumer, it's important to watch out for yourself. I mean, it's like a trust but verify type of situation, because if you're just like buzzing through and you got to get ad copy done at 1 a.m. in the morning on a Thursday for the next morning, that is not a good situation to be with AI.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's got to be that human oversight, just fact checking, the spidey senses pop up and say, "Ooh, let's make sure this is correct because something doesn't feel right here."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. So that really that spins us a little bit. I don't want to cut you off, but that does spin us a little bit to the cons side of AI in general. You already alluded a little bit to the fact that AI does need oversight. I mean, it's basically grabbing things from the web and then, like you say, hallucinating and making some stuff up, which I think we can't underline that enough. We can't emphasize that enough, just to be
Right.
careful. What are some other cons that you see utilizing AI today?
Yeah. I mean, it's creating a ton of efficiency, which is great. I do think, there's no way around it. I think it's going to eliminate jobs in all fields, not just marketing. But I think marketing and communication professionals, they do need to be aware of this. Now, I think the silver lining there, and one thing that I've heard some really smart people say is, you know, sure, AI may replace jobs, but it's not going to replace the people who know how to use AI to do their job better.
Right.
So that's why I think it's so important that you get in there and test and play around and understand how these tools work and how they can create efficiencies in your marketing and communications.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think that's really smart because, you don't want to take any tool. I mean, I'm kind of dumbing it down just for everyone listening, but I mean, you don't want to just set up a fax machine in the late 80s, early 90s and start dialing in numbers and sending confidential or, information you don't want to see. It's the same thing, I think, with ChatGPT in some respects. So you don't want to just take a stab at it on a very important time or very important document or project. Practice with it, get to know it, become intelligent experts overused, but use it as a tool, use it the way it should be used. I think that's smart. So
Yeah, exactly. Someone today said he views AI as kind of like smartphones were 15 years ago. Like it's going to change a lot in business and in life in general. But it's a tool.
yeah, I agree. I will tell you, and I don't know if you have the same feeling. We haven't even talked about this. I am so over the fact that my toaster has AI. Like, I feel like there's also that the con, and I'm going to throw this out as an official con to our discussion, is that AI right now is so amorphic in nature generally that everyone said, like, I saw a light bulb that was AI driven. Really? How is the light bulb AI driven? Yeah, it could be
Right.
part of your smart house or it could be part of a system, but your light bulb isn't sitting there going, hey, I got a bright idea. Bing! Like, that's not how any of this works. None of this works that way. So,
Right. Yeah. Every tool, every SaaS product we use has incorporated AI in some capacity. And of course, they're increasing the price because, we need to use their AI, so it has to
Right.
cost more. When the reality is, we've got our prompts that we've tested and that we like, and we're using them in maybe a Chat GPT, and then going over to a Facebook or I'll pick on Eventbrite, right? I spoke to some people who part of their business model is hosting regular events, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to try Yeah, sure. Let's have Eventbrite's AI tool generate my event description.
Yeah.
And when their event description was pretty dang similar to everyone else's, they just went back to what they had created. That spoke more to what they do, probably resonated more with their audience. So you got to be careful because yeah, AI it's everywhere. It's in every tool now, and I don't think it needs to be. I think also, quite frankly, I think there's a lot out there where companies are just slapping the AI label on it.
Oh yeah, of
And
course. Yeah.
and it's not. It's like, no, that automation in a CRM isn't necessarily AI,
No.
and that's been around for a decade.
Right. Right. Well, I think we talked about the joke is to me it's like, well, prove me wrong. AI is just Ask Jeeves with a better brain, right? Like it's just with a better search engine, and it's not. But like you say, you just got to be careful with some of this stuff for sure. Oh, but don't be scared. I mean, that's it's like your mom used to say, like, okay, look around your surroundings, but enjoy Paris while you're there. Like, oh, okay,
Right.
like what do you do with that? So, yeah, very cool. Do you have anything else you want to add to the outstanding Primero Day podcast that we just kicked off?
Well, I'm really excited to, we've touched on some things today, right? Reputation management, SEO, really leveraging a chat GPT. I think there's a lot more that we'll be digging into in as we go on this journey. So I'm excited.
There's super spin-offs. I mean, you just mentioned it, like websites, SEO, SEM. We didn't even touch about it, but I've seen it start being used in Crisis Calm, like looking at what that looks like. Training, just saw some integration with training on AI and trying to, work through that process. There's a systems company process called Whale, an application called Whale that uses AI to help you through that. There's so much. There's just so much stuff. So that's good. Well, before we wrap up, Liz, I have a question for you and our listeners. Don't answer. Everyone go to the Dirt Road Group's Facebook to plug in. But Liz, do you know what GPT stands for? Just say yes or no. Don't say. Oh.
I looked it up once. I don't remember.
There you go. Okay, so don't blow the secret, Liz. So if you know what GPT stands for in ChatGPT or any other application that has to do with AI, go to our Facebook or go to the website dirtroadpr.com and drop it in the comments underneath this podcast. And you never know, Liz, we might make it worth somebody's while if they know what GPT. Oh, they could use AI. Oh, they could use AI. So
Yes.
excellent. Well, I'm Tony Vann.
And I'm Liz Hersh.
And for the Tales of the Dirt Road, from the Tales of the Dirt Road, I'll get it right this season, folks, I promise. For Tales from the Dirt Road, we hope to see you next Tuesday. Make sure that you listen and subscribe and check out our website at dirtroadpr.com/Liz podcast. All right, we'll see you next week.
See you soon. Thanks.
From gravel paths to starlit skies, we chase the sparks with open eyes. The future hums in the air tonight. Every step feels like first light. Will it bend like a willow or roar like a stream? Will it build a new world, just a dream? Will it bend like a willow or roar like a stream? Will it build a new world or just a dream?